Hi everyone! Today I thought it would be fun to test out a full face of samples just to see how some products perform and see if I want to pick them up at the Sephora sale. And I have these bags full of samples, so I was able to do pretty much a whole face of makeup. So if you're interested in seeing what I use to get this look, then keep on watching. Okay, so first I'm going to put on this Grande Lash Serum. I've used 1.5 bottles of this and I feel like it is working. However, it doesn't do what INB used to do. And so I'm not sure if it's really worth investing the $90 during the sale or if I want to just try something else. I'm gonna skip skincare this time because I tried to film this I think 3 days ago and there was like a device malfunction, but I started off with this and I put it on my face without smelling it first, and I had mentioned in that video that I hope my skin doesn't break out because of the fragrance. And I came home from going out that night probably like 6 hours later and this happened and my skin broke out in other places as well. Like I have one under my chin as well. And so I just went with my normal skincare today, but I am going to try this primer. It's sort of like a more gel consistency. I kind of thought it would be pore filling. I think it still might be. It kind of feels like there are some silicones in it, I guess. But it's more gel than I really thought it would be. That's fine. And the first time I filmed this, I went with a really matte foundation, but this time I'm going to try the Yummy Skin by Denise Myricks. I think I'm gonna do like the second darkest shade and just see how that goes. So that shade is 5G. Now that it's out of the pack, I think it might be... I might mix them, actually. It's probably safer to do that. And just find your right shade after. So I took most of that off. It's way too pink. And I'm just gonna go in with 5G on its own. If I need to lighten it a little bit, I think I'll just use a concealer that's a little brighter and use these two colors to sort of sculpt my face rather than just having one that like perfectly matches and having to go with like bronzer, contour, all that stuff, which is not something I normally do anyway. Yeah, that's a pretty good match. This is actually pretty nice feeling. Like it doesn't really feel like I have anything on my skin, which is super nice. It's one of like the main factors that influence me to actually purchase a product. It's not the coverage, it's not really the color match, it's more so whether or not I can feel it on my face, if it burns, if it makes me break out. Those are things that will influence me to purchase. I'm gonna cover that up a little bit. And I thought I might have to do this. You can't really see it actually on screen, but the pimple on my chin is not like fully covered, so I'm gonna add a little bit of a salmon concealer just to knock back some of the darkness. And go over it again with what's left on the beauty blender. Okay, that's better. For concealer, not that I really think I need it right now, but I'm just gonna try this Anastasia Magic Touch concealer. Let's try the lightest shade. It's a little more pinky, which is not my favorite, but it does help to cover up darkness. I'm gonna do this. And I think I'm gonna apply that with a brush. I really like a lighter coverage and lighter application with concealer. Sometimes I think if you use a beauty blender, too much of it stays on the skin and it looks cakey. I think I'm gonna go back into the Yummy Skin and probably use that one, maybe a mix of these two, just to bronze a little bit. I'm not really used to using something that full coverage, so I usually don't contour or bronze for every day. I just feel like it's a little much, and also I have pretty high cheekbones and a natural dip. It kind of creates its own shadow anyway, especially when you're not using like heavy foundations. But I feel like I need it now. I feel like I've taken all the dimension out of my face. I do want to put on some of the Charlotte Tilbury, what is this, Flawless Hollywood Filter. But first I'm gonna put on some lipstick because I don't have a blush sample, so I'm gonna use the lipstick as blush. This is Tom Ford, and it is called Impassioned. I've used it before, and I have to stop myself every time I shop at Sephora from adding it to my cart because it's $70, and even with the discount, I'm still not sure that I want to spend 40 something dollars on a lipstick, but it is really, really pretty. And I kind of like to just like do it messily and then pat around the edge of my lip to like create a blurred lip. Okay, so I'm happy with that, and like whatever's left on my fingers kind of just gets added to my cheeks. Also bring it up onto your crease to sort of connect your blush with your crease color. I like doing this because it makes your makeup look be so much more cohesive, especially if you want to like experiment with like a lip color or an eyeshadow color. It helps to like just sort of make everything look intentional and not sporadic. So I'm gonna add a little bit more because I feel like if I had put this on just my regular base, which is like MAC base and body, I feel like it would have shown up a lot more, but it's kind of getting lost in that more bronzy foundation color I put on. I'm just gonna add a little bit extra. Maybe some on the nose as well. Cool. Okay. Now I'm gonna powder and then I'm gonna add the highlight after, I think. So I'm gonna use this Tatcha powder that I have. I'm just powdering wherever I don't want shine or whatever I don't want to really look too noticeable, so my forehead catches a lot of shine, so I've powdered there. I'm powdering anywhere that I had an acne spot. What is happening? All right. For eyes, I didn't really have a sample eyeliner, but I do think I need one to sort of just blend my lash line with my mascara. So I'm gonna take this Make Forever eyeliner and apply it to my lash line, kind of like getting in between the lashes as well. I'm only going about a third of the way in before taking an angled brush and just sort of blending it out. I'm gonna add eyeshadow to this, so it can be messy. Very carefully bringing it in to the inner third as well. I just don't want to go straight in with the black in that area because it can get really intense really fast. This kind of eyeliner doesn't really set quickly. And so if you draw it right on the inner third, it tends to look like a little intense. If you want, you can also like press it into the bottom lash line a little bit as well. Next, I'm gonna go in with this Natasha Denona eyeshadow. It says it's from the Glam palette. And I think the shade is Outer Eyelid 321M, I guess. I'm just gonna take this on my finger and put it all over the lid in a patting motion to start. I kind of want to start where there's not much eyeliner because, like I said, it doesn't set right away. So I don't want to move it around too much on the outer parts. Once you have it on the inner third, you can start patting it the outer areas. Don't worry about being messy. I'm going to take a brush later and just buff it out. Now I'm getting closer to the lash line. You'll see the black starts to blend with the eyeshadow. It looks less intense now. It's just going to help blend the eyelashes with the mascara. And now I'm going to take a fluffy brush and just, with nothing on it to start, just sort of get rid of any of the harsh lines. And then if I want to bring it higher up top, like if you have the space on your eye over here to bring it higher and that's how you like to wear your eyeshadow, then that would be the next step. I'm going to start underneath my eye and just see how I feel about where it's at. Yeah, I think I want a little bit more, so I'm dipping my brush into the eyeshadow, packing it on the outer portion, and then adding it up a bit higher. Connecting it to the bottom. Okay. I think I'm pretty happy with that. I wore this out with my friend the other night and she said my eyelids looked like a starry night at the beach. We were in a dark restaurant and I think maybe the glitter reflex and the eyeshadow looked like a bit more sky colored. Right now it's obviously pretty cool tone. I'm gonna curl my lashes and use this Better Than Sex mascara. I don't really like this, but it's the only mascara I really have a sample size of right now. But I remember trying it when it first came out and thinking it was extremely waxy. I don't remember if it smudged at all, but I guess we'll see. I'm not really looking for a mascara during the Sephora sale anyway. I love MAC stack, I'll probably stick to that for a while. If I run out of the one I have, if I run out of the one that I have now, I'll probably just repurchase the waterproof version, because it does smudge on me slightly. Less than any other mascara, but still a little bit, and I feel like using the waterproof version would really help that problem. Sort of debating on if I want a second coat. I usually don't, but I also usually don't wear this much face makeup, and my eyes tend to look balanced with sometimes even no mascara. Sometimes I just put some like eyeshadow on my lash line and it looks pretty balanced, so I feel like given everything else that's on my face, I probably need a second coat. And now I guess I'm ready to try this. So I'm gonna go in with the lightest shade. Again, pretty pinky. I wish brands, when they made like their lightest shade version of stuff, I wish they made it more neutral, because every time I pick up like a light shade of something, it's always pink. And not that I really mind like a pink, ooh, it's pretty. Not that I really mind like a pink shimmer, it's just that if I wanted to use this all over my face, given that my skin tone is actually more yellow, it's gonna make it look weird, especially sitting under makeup. It's gonna tint everything more pink. It's gonna make it look like it doesn't match. Yeah. Cute. All right, I think that's it for now. I think I'll come back at the end of the day, because it is morning before work right now. So I think I'll come back at the end of the day and just see how everything wore. I probably will reapply the lipstick, but I mean, it'll be interesting to see how the foundation wore, if I start to feel like it's cakey, if I start to feel it on my skin, if I notice a breakout really soon after, like I did when I used the Bobbi Brown face base. So I'll let you know. All right, so I'm back after about 12 hours, and here are my thoughts on the makeup. Starting with the foundation, I really liked how dewy it was and how glowy it made my skin look. It didn't settle into any fine lines. It didn't dry or wear off in a patchy sort of way, so I'm really happy about that. The one thing that I will say about this foundation is that it sort of doesn't like set down on its own. Even in the places that I powdered, up to like 4 hours later, I could like touch in the areas, like right here is where I tested it. I could touch like where I had applied powder to try to set the product down, and I could still see and feel it moving around on my skin. And it wasn't until pretty late in the day where I had felt like it actually had set in place. And by that time, it had started to wear off on some of my acne spots. So I have a spot over here, and then I have some spots on my chin, and those started to become more visible as the day went on. And I started to notice that where I had problem areas is where the foundation started to wear off on my skin, but it stayed in place and it looks beautiful in the parts of my face that are clear and maybe don't, have any places where a lot of my skin folds, like it's not happening over here where there's not like a line like over here, like in my spot line. Like obviously the foundation settled into my smile lines and a bit over here, but in this area where there's not really any place for it to settle into, so no smile lines, no acne or anything like that, it lasted pretty well. I touched my eyes a lot, so the concealer and the eyeshadow obviously didn't last very much. The concealer wearing off here is like pretty common for my makeup because I'm constantly touching my eyes. I don't really touch this portion of my eye very much, but the eyeshadow did still wear off quite a bit. I do appreciate that it seems to wear off pretty evenly, so you can't really tell. It's not like it wore off like over here and then there's still like a dark streak in my crease. It wore off pretty evenly. It still looks pretty good for having been on for 12 hours. I did have a meeting today, so I didn't want to go into the meeting looking crazy, so I did wipe away the smudged mascara with my finger. I just didn't apply any other product after wiping it away. But I mean, even if I hadn't wiped it away, like when I was looking at it, I thought it kind of looked like part of the eyeshadow look on its own because it was a cool tone eyeshadow and the mascara smudges kind of like a gray. So it just sort of looked like I put eyeshadow farther down than I actually did, and I could have left it, but because I knew it was the mascara smudging, I wanted to wipe it away. The last thing I have to comment on is the lipstick. I only touched it up once throughout the day, and I didn't swipe to touch it up. I sort of just like dabbed it on my lips, and it wasn't that long ago that I reapplied either. So up until like 6 hours, I think it lasted pretty well, and it even wore off sort of like a stain. So it's not something that you need to rush to reapply, even though it's not like a liquid matte lipstick. Like it wears down pretty nicely. So even if you're wearing it all day and you don't have time to touch up, it's just going to look like a stain like by the end of your day. I still don't think it's worth the $70 or whatever this full tube of lipstick costs. But I mean, if you like the shade and the formula, why not? Aside from that, the primer and the highlighter just sort of worked the way I thought they would. I don't think there's anything special about the Hollywood Flawless filter. I mean, I know it's a really hyped up product. I just don't see what the difference is between like that one and the Auric, I think it's called Glow Lust. Both of the lightest shades are super pink. Both are shimmery. The only thing is that I think the Auric works really well on top of makeup, especially in this area if you get a lot of breakouts because it has coverage to it. So it will actually help cover up some blemishes if you have them in that area. The Charlotte Tilbury won't. And the primer was okay. I typically go for a pore filling primer. This one sort of was more like a gel. I do think it smoothed out some lines and textures and pores, but I mean, I don't think it was anything special. So I'll probably just continue to use what I've been using. That's it. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.